Okay, it says it's being recorded. So welcome. We're just going to give you all a little update on the Sasha, well, we call it the Sasha Project, and I'll explain to you why. So what is it? The Sasha Project evolved from a joint PrideTT and Trinidad and Tobago Trans Coalition, or 3TC initiative. It began as the Sasha Fund, and initially the aim of it was to provide some sort of partial funding for a scholarship opportunity for members of the trans community who are interested in developing their skills through education. And it does not have to necessarily be um, academic skills, any sort of skill that the members of the community wanted to participate in. So based on information outreach, informal education activities that we've been doing with our community, we got some feedback. So in addition to the education fund, we would like to offer in-house skills development and also a number of other training and skills development for the members of our community. So which is why it was rebranded into the Sasha Project, because it ballooned into an even more ambitious goal. And in so doing, this is what, in the initial stage, we are hoping to get members of our community to benefit from, which would be a basic computer education, simple math and English, other skills and basic project management skills. All of this is geared towards helping members of our community to become self-reliant, build their employment opportunities, and for those who have that interest to start their own businesses. So how do we plan to do this? Well, the first thing we plan to do at the Treaty C is to conduct activities aimed at making ourselves first financially sustainable so that we are able to afford all the tools and equipment that we need to help set up the Skills Development Center at the CUREP offices of the Treaty C. So we've had some discussions, and I know that one of the things that Brandy has tried already, a couple of pilots, would be like weekend lunches where members of the community can pass by and pick up lunches. And that way we start to add little pennies to the kitty. We also hope to encourage members of our community who are highly skilled to volunteer to do a transfer of knowledge. So if you have a particular skill, let's say you're really good at math and English, and together with that, you have an interest um, in teaching and helping others learn, and you also have to be really patient because we're sort of simulating a classroom environment. Then we will be reaching out and inviting members of the community and allies to volunteer to build our skills base so that we can provide education to members of our community. We also intend to utilize networks that we've created over the years um, to beg, essentially, to ask for donations and ask if they have things that they no longer need, or if they have excess, or even if they have a couple of spare dollars to give us donations in kind. So by that we mean supplies and equipment. So why did we want to create this entire project anyhow? One, it was Sasha's dream. One of the things about Sasha that many people don't know, aside from her very vivacious personality and that she was well loved by her friends, Sasha was a very ambitious girl. And Sasha very often spoke with Brandy, and she would tell Brandy, Brandy, one of these days I'm going to get off the streets and I have a dream. I'm going to build my skills and I want to start a little business. And I also want to help the other girls in my community. So we are trying to help achieve Sasha's dream. So essentially, this idea of a Sasha project is very fitting because before we even had the idea of helping to build skills for the trans community, it was Sasha's vision and Sasha's dream. So Treaty C, the feedback and outreach that we have with members of our community, um, when we speak to them, we have these little tit-a-tats. And for the last 2 years, we've been doing a number of outreach education programs with them online. And we very often ask them, what do you want? What do you need? And these interactions are very informal, but because of the informality of it, they feel comfortable in letting us know what they want. And what they want is to access learning. And what they want, some of them, is to actually get into small businesses of their own so that they want to be independent. So, what do we want? We want to access learning in a safe, friendly space where we can be ourselves. So, this is why we want to start that Sasha project will be based at a community training development center, which will start up very humbly, not too big, at the career offices at the Trinidad and Tobago Trans Coalition in Phillip Street there, and we can dream big. It's always important to dream big. Just excuse me. Yeah. So, and of course, one of the main reasons why we want to create and we wanted to start this project was also to break the stereotype that people have out there within our community and outside of our community that all trans women, particularly, are sex workers. So let's talk a little bit about who will we be targeting with this program. We want to reach trans men and trans women. We want to reach out to non-binary members of our community too as well. And people will ask, well, why non-binaries and why just trans men and women? Our group of people are the ones who face the greatest amount of discriminations. Sometimes you might be enrolled into a school, but just the fact that you express yourself differently lands you with criticism. People laugh at us, people make fun of us, they tease us, they make the learning environment very difficult. And even if you want to use the bathroom, sometimes administration may tell you you cannot use the bathroom for the gender that you are expressing. So there are myriad sets of problems that come down and segue from that when we think about all of the challenges for education and we haven't yet been successful at getting an inclusive policy in workplaces or in public spaces or in schools. So we want to get the ball rolling, and which is why we will target the trans community and non-binary as part of those who will be first to benefit from um, our training center. It's not to say that, let's say, for example, a fem member of the other letters decides to say, well, can you help me? Let's say we have a fem gay man who says, I'm having problems and I really want to learn. Will you include me in your classes? Of course, if we have room, we will. But it's all subject to the spaces available and how much funding we get. Um, we also want to reach out to sex workers, particularly those women who are single mothers. They are part of the uh, vulnerable communities that we provide services to at the 3TC. And many of them, like trans women, have ambitions of starting little businesses or would like to learn more. And some of them actually wish to leave sex work altogether and develop skills. Some of them have told us that they ended up unfortunately participating in sex work simply because they didn't have another option or that they were prohibited for whatever reason from getting into formal education systems for too long. And that also includes women who were in early marriages. Some migrants who identify with our community or who identify as sex workers might also benefit from the work that we are doing. We do have a list in terms of our vulnerable communities who receive support at the moment. Quite a few of them actually are migrants. Now, the migrants can also be transgender and they can also be binary, not just sex workers. So let's give a little update about what happened in 2020. The first funds, somebody was asking a question. Hello? Yeah, no? Okay. So the first set of funds we received from PrideTT were used to assist with paying for urgent billing works required to complete some construction for the learning center. So that money, Rudy, went directly to the builder It wasn't enough, so we scrounged up and we found some a little bit extra, and we managed to get the majority of the building works completed. So now we have an enclosed space, and the next part of the funding that we need, hopefully we will find a partner, would be to sponsor some air conditioning so we can have a cool space for learning, so that we have people comfortable in spaces too as well. In 2020, we also received three used computers, shelving, stationery from the United Nations Information Center as it was going through an asset disposal activity. So those computers will be used to participate as tools, teaching tools. So essentially, we already have, let's say, a little lab set up. So we just need now to get software updates on those computers. Some of them didn't come with little peripherals that we need to make them fully functional. Um, but eventually we will get all of those assets, and then we will have a working computer lab, so we can start teaching things like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other basic fundamental skills for computers to help members of our community and other benefactors to learn free of charge. So we would like to also say special thanks to Ruben Neckles. He's an ally of our community. And it was thanks to him, he brought it to our attention that the UN was disposing of his assets. And he actually used his own vehicle without any subventions from us to deliver things, bring shelves across. He helped us to assemble them too as well. So a big thanks goes out to him. Right. So in 2020, COVID-19, sorry, caused a major stumbling block for the development of the Sasha project. While it's an ambitious goal, a lot of what we plan to do is in-person learning activities. And I can hear people saying, well, why don't you just switch to online? What we have to remember are the people who benefit from these things cannot afford a device that would be able would allow them to participate in online learning. So some of them do not have enough money for, let's say, for example, a tablet or a smart device. And even if they had it, some of them don't have enough money for data. So it's very challenging. So that put a major stumbling block in the way of us getting our work done. We had to shift our focus to the very urgent needs of the most vulnerable in our community. So for the most of 2020, we started focusing on getting food and rent assistance for members of our community who urgently need it. We also started pushing to get testing and other sexual health services because some of the members of our community who had lost their jobs and so ended up engaging in sex work. So we wanted to make sure that members of our community were healthy. And we also do have PLHIVs who are part of the groups that we service. PLHIV stands for persons living with HIV. They are members of our community, and their needs were amplified last year during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what we did is that we put the Sasha project on the back burner, and we started focusing on the urgent needs of our community. We also started doing referrals to members of our communities for um, for psychosocial support as the situation with COVID got more and more challenging. More members of our community were saying that they needed some sort of help. Part of the psychosocial support we tried to provide for ourselves. So we created small spaces where we can chat informally about the problems that we were having, but we also partnered with some other NGOs who had the capacity to provide professional services. So now let's talk about 2021. The pandemic continues to affect the trans and non-binary community adversely. We have a growing request for food, rent assistance, and mental health services. Unfortunately, trans women continue to experience zero employment at this time, and they are experiencing increasing risks of illnesses, not just COVID-19, but STIs and HIV, because many of members of the community have, as they say, no choice now, but to engage in activities with strangers, including sexual activities. So there is a increased risk because while the state is advising that we should stay away from contact in order for people to survive, they still have to earn money, and engaging in sex with strangers is one of the ways that, unfortunately, members of the community are earning that needed money. So as you can see, the situation is a little dire for 2021, but we're hoping. Let's see how things develop. Let's see how the state eventually rolls out interactions and freedoms of movement. And as soon as we are allowed to gather in small groups, we will start to work at kicking off the training through the Sasha project, the skills development. So that's what I was saying here. The project will come back on stream. So we have to see, wait until the reversal of state mandated lockdowns. So that's essentially, in a quick nutshell, what we've been doing with the Sasha project. You may not have heard much about it, but it's been on the front of our heads in terms of something that we want to achieve, but we unfortunately really did have to put it in the back burner, unfortunately, because of COVID. But it doesn't mean that it is out of sight. It is definitely at the front of our project goals. And it was one of the things that we also did mention when we did earlier this year an update for other partners who are fiscal contributors to some of the projects that we do. We did highlight that the Sasha project is one of the priorities that we have and ask for support in that area. So now this is where we come to begging you out there in the public. If you feel that the goals and the ambitions of the Trinidad and Tobago Transgender Coalition, um, of this Sasha project is something that you would like to see happen, you can always reach out to us. Maybe you want to volunteer your skills. Maybe you have ideas of how we can make it more effective. Or maybe you yourself want to make a financial donation because you are have that capacity to at this moment, however small. You can contact us by Gmail, or you can reach out to PrideTT, reach out to us too as well, and we will give you a phone number to call. You can chat with Brandy and the team, find out for yourself. I know that many people are skeptical to give money because you're not too sure what's happening. So we'll be very happy to answer any questions that you will have with regard to the Sasha project. And we also happy to announce that the Trinidad and Tobago transgender, after many trials and even facing discrimination in the banking sector, we finally managed to secure our own bank account so that deposits can be made directly to us to get work done. Now, where can you find more information about the Sasha project? We're about to launch our own website, and this is our URL. It's transt.net. We're working at putting information up on the website, and the website will eventually feature a section called the Sasha Project. We will give you all the historical data about the Sasha Project, when it started, what we intend to do. We will give you project updates, and when possible, we'll share some of the happier images of people participating in the work, um, in participating, sorry, in the workshops and the training for activities that we are doing there. So we would really like to say a very, very big thank you, 1,000,000% to PrideTT. Really, thank you so very much. You were the person who were interfacing and liaising with us to get this dream to come true. And we are really very happy, and we look forward to working with PrideTT in the future. And we are here to listen to what suggestions everyone has, and seeing this project balloon into something. Let's think really big. Maybe in a few years, the training center could be bigger. We could, once we develop our financial sustainability, it could be something that could become an income generating thing that we include maybe allies or members of the street community who want to make a small financial contribution and benefit from some training course that we have. So thank you all very, very much for listening in today. I know this is not a lot of details that I've given to you, but I really don't think this is the right forum to go into too much deep conversation. I wanted to keep it short and to the point. So really thanks, Amel. Happy Pride, everyone. Thank you on behalf of the Treaty C to everyone. And we look forward to other activities with you all this month.
With no thanks necessary. We are really, really privileged to be able to have these kinds of interventions and partner with groups like 3TC because we see firsthand how we are saving our community members' lives and also making people's lives better. So it really, that's what we're about. And we are so grateful to know that people have been benefiting from this the nominal but still support nonetheless. And we reiterate again publicly this year that when COVID-19 is settled and we can return to our events calendar, our in-person events calendar, which allows us to generate revenues for PrideTT, we again commit publicly that a percentage of all revenue raised by PrideTT will be shared with 3TC for your ongoing programming. So we're here with you. We're all in this together. And particularly this year, of course, we are focusing on the power of our women and trans women are women. So we have to stand with them equitably and equally. So thank you for sharing the updates, Wade. I'm sure the community is happy to know, what is going on and what your plans are. And, we know that you all have a few events planned on the calendar. Might I put you on the spot to perhaps talk about one or two of them that are coming up? Because we do have a few persons on the live. And there's one question I could ask you after, and then I'll ask Shahan to talk a little bit about their events at UniPride.
Um, thanks, Rudy. Put me on the spot, why don't you? So yes, we have there. If you look at the PrideTT calendar, the Treaty C has agreed to take the lead to talk about a number of things, and one of them is actually navigating spaces. So that's a good activity, I think, and the title of it jumps out of my head right now. I have a little pulse and headache myself, but yes. So we one of the hopes that we have is to take members of our community and all of our viewers and supporters into the world of the Trinidad and Tobago trans and non-binary community during Pride Month. So we will have very real discussions. Some might be painful, some might be enlightening. And then, of course, we're partnering with some of the other civil society organizations who are represented here to um, to do joint discussions. So yes, Rudy. I one of them I'm I'm very keen on would be, and I'm not too sure if we are involved in it. It's the sex and sexuality. I'm not
All
sure if we're
right.
participating in it, but one of the strong points of the work of the Trinidad and Tobago Transgender Coalition is that we've had the experience of working with sexual and reproductive health across the communities, the letters of our communities. So one of the things that people might not know is that the Trinidad and Tobago Transgender Coalition, the the director of the Treaty C, Brandy, is actually a navigator with one of the NGOs that provide sexual and reproductive health services, which means that she helps people in our community to navigate spaces safely so that you can access testing and treatment and all of those other things. So um, let's see how that goes. But yes, and then um, the other big ticket item I think you should look forward to is the Caribbean Summit of Transgender Women. That one is where, Brandy is really key to that because of who she is. She also has responsibilities and regional organizations, so she sits on other boards too as well, and she's going to use her connections there to invite trans women from other countries in the region to come like we did last year and the year before to come and sit down, participate, share their stories, and have a very enriching discussion about the issues on the trans agenda.
Great, thank you. While you're talking, I shared the calendar. I know we have like
Yes.
30 plus events, so even I can't remember all of them by name. But
Yes.
but I mean, it just goes to show that again, over the years, we've been able to develop this partnership and to provide this platform, and that you all also take advantage of it because people don't always do it, you know. They but the fact that you all have used it and it benefits you, we're really happy about that. Um, I don't know if you could answer this question off the top of your head. I know, but Cyrus is pushing us a little bit to provide some information outside of FPAT and MRF. Can you perhaps direct people where members of the community can access LGBTQ friendly health services?
Okay, so well, what I can say for that, Brandy might be best able to answer that being a navigator, Rudy, because that's one of the
Mhm.
major roles of the navigator. So she will have a current list of services available, friendly services for our community. Now, one of the things that we are also um, hoping to provide on our website is an active directory of friendly services.
Right,
So it's you can go to our website, and for those organizations like the FPAT and others that are providing services, we will put them up on our website. So it's a separate page, and it's a sort of interactive page with a little browser and map, and it helps you to find services in the area that you live as close to you as possible. So we're working on that. And I think that in the very near future might be the best option, because as often as we get info, we will be able to upload it there. And some of the people who are service providers, because of stigma and discrimination, may not want to be listed. So the next option that we are looking for is to create private parts of the database that we can share. And I think this is where PrideTT might come in and be very useful to us, to help us maybe develop an app that you can download so that it's only members of the community who can use some secure service to maybe access that. So then we'll have an even wider variety. But as far as answering your question goes, so far MRF, to the best of my knowledge, and FPAT um, are the only two major service providers when it comes to sexual and reproductive health, STIs, and testing. But the good news, though, is that FPAT has said that it is relaunching its services in South Trinidad. So it means that people don't have to come into Port of Spain. And I know that through the intervention of the IPPF, which is the international parent body that the FPAT falls under, they've decided to play a bigger role in this region. So hopefully, knock on wood, we will see a rollout of even more community-based programming that will be safe spaces, and that will include the LGBTIQI, plus community when it comes to sexual
right.
and reproductive health services.
No, I'm very happy you mentioned all of these fantastic resources that are going to be coming online shortly. Of course, we will be sharing all resources that become available. And yes, as Wade said, PrideTT actually has its app up and running on the Google Store and shortly on the Apple Store. And of course, we would be definitely uh, interested to share that technology or application with you to see how we can best assist with your work. So I'm glad you reminded me of that. But yeah, what we can do as well is we'll collate the information. There is there are some links available out there that we can post on the comments after, so people can check back in a bit to find out. Uh, so don't worry, Cyrus, we will get that information to you shortly.
Now,
So,
Rudy,
uh,
for services particularly when it comes to those members of our community in who are thinking about transitioning. We've had some questions on our social media platforms. People have reached out to us and asked about services because they are considering transitioning, and the services very varied. So one of the things that you need to have access to is proper psychosocial support if you decide to transition into the gender that you know you are. Um, there are one or two private practitioners who might be able to provide those services, but we are unfortunately not permitted to share their information on public spaces because, as
Right.
I said, there is that fear of discrimination, so that they could lose their business. Um, they can lose income from their businesses, and it could
Yes.
seriously
Yeah.
impact on them in other ways. But if members of the community who are there and who are thinking about transitioning would like to get access to the resources that we know of, they can reach out directly to us, and maybe we can help them. We can chat with the service providers to see if they can also assist. Unfortunately, at the moment, there are no free services. I'm sorry to say, when it comes to the case of transitioning, all of these services are sadly at a cost. Transitioning is a very expensive thing, and it's our wish that that would be something that be legitimized. If the state were to take, let's say, legislative reform, for example, that allowed people to change their gender mark on ID cards. And so I think that would go a very long way when it comes to allowing the reduction in the cost of transitioning, because then more medical practitioners might be interested in actually doing it.
Definitely noted. Noted for sure. And again, it highlights that there's still more struggle to go and more work to be done. But thank you again for sharing. And I'm sure that people are appreciative for the update. And now they know how they can get involved and a little bit more information about your work and our work. So, Shahan, with the 5 minutes left, perhaps I can just ask you to quickly give insight about one or two of your upcoming events at UniPride and remind folks what UniPride is all about and how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Shahan. I'm the chairman of UniPride. So we are thankfully and very much grateful that we are one of the official partners of Pride 2021. So our first event will be tomorrow at 7:21 p.m. in partnership with Shirai Collective. That's Sex and Sexuality. We're going to be exploring the identities and defining a few of them, as well as talking about what sex and what sexuality really is. And in this
It's
particular
18 hours.
episode of Sex and Sexuality, because we're gonna do it, we're gonna turn it into a series. So we, in this particular one, we have decided to zero in on the non-binary terms that folks may or may not know about. So that is what we have in store for you all tomorrow, along with a few other things. That is for sex and sexuality. On the 14th of July, we will be co-hosting Women Who Love Women Unite with Sharon Motley and the Women's Caucus. That is I think is a continuation of last year's event that I personally did with Sharon, right? So it's basically about strengthening and sustaining women's movement and development building in Trinidad and Tobago. So that's on the 14th. The 15th, we are still with Sharon again and the Women's Caucus for GBV and the LGBTQI community. We are hoping that we can get someone from the GBV unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to be on with us for that event so that we know what the community, like when we go to report gender-based violence, what are our options and next steps and such. Um, and the last two events we are having will be Macho Woman, which is the flip of Macho Man from prior years, and it's basically just speaking to women in who are in somewhat of male dominated professions such as the athletic professions, etc. And the last one would be for the youth of the community, which is the 22nd of July, which is Young Queer Talk, where we want to identify the challenges that the young persons within the community faces, and end off that with like a little party thing where it's not so serious, because that will be the countdown till the end of Pride 2021. um Also, Unipride, we are a, well, a very young group, right, that started out of Pride last year, where we want to give representation to university students and youth especially as well, because in universities there are not many Pride groups or LGBT groups, so that students who go to universities feel safe other than Pride UE, right? So that's our initiative. We have been trying to reach out to universities such as UTC. However, we haven't really gotten a response from them yet. So we hope in the upcoming months that we could try to get universities on board in starting their own pride groups, so that students could have a safe space to be, and to have like a day where they just relax for a couple hours with their queer folks. um and we also about unity and uniting the community on all fronts as well, to bridge the gap between everyone, so there's not a marginalized gap between different organizations, etc. Y'all could reach out to us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at UniPrideTT. So if you reach out to us, we will respond to you in whatever form or fashion we can. And if you need like any sort of assistance or anything, we try our best to reach out to other folks so that we can get you the best form of assistance necessary and the best form that you need. So that's it from me. Thanks, Rudy.
Thank you very much for that. And we really want to commend you, Makesa, Stefan, and the rest of the crew for your ongoing work, and for having a vision as young people for where you want advocacy to go and where you would like your community to be. So we really commend you. As I said, we commit to continuing to support you in whatever way that we can. So everyone, please share this video. Continue to follow us on social media. All of the information is available online on our website. You can contact us via our WhatsApp number as well, which is on our website. And you can get all of the updates on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we are actually heading across now directly to the event that we are participating in, that is called Queer History. It is being hosted by another group of young queer persons, Queer Teens TT, and our trustee and co-director, Faye Ferdinandus, as an elder in the community, will be representing to bring some perspectives on queer history in Trinidad and Tobago and in the region, because she's done work there as well. So with that, you can get all the information again on our website if you'd like to join in on that session, and it will be posted thereafter. So again, thank you, Wade, and the entire team at 3TC Thank you, Shahan, and the entire team at UniPride. And happy Pride, be safe. Remember, we have a vaccination drive. It's the Vaccinate. And if you're interested, again, contact us. We are working with the Ministry of Health to try and organize that day for our community and allies to get vaccinated. Remember to follow the safety protocols so we can all survive this together. And we look forward to seeing you over the next few weeks as we continue to celebrate PrideTT. Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Much love. Happy Pride 2021.
Bye.